What's going on, gang? I'm very excited. Episode 35. This is a big one. And I mean, they're all big ones, right? There's what can I say? I'm always excited about what's going on. So right now I'm going to run. I'm going to go and I'm going to get this all set up. So I might look weird for a minute. You guys know how it starts. I got to make sure that we're all good to go. What do we have? There we are. Okay, good. We're live. We're going to get everything. There we are. Cool. We're public. All right. So now I'll be able to see any comments, anything you guys have to say. So please like, share, comment. This one's going to be a fun one today. We've got several guests, all from my local con, Hill Country Comic Con. They're going to talk about that. Oh, who we have? Brian Manell. What's going on, buddy? Mr. Superfan. So good to see you, dude. Um, Tonight we have several people from Hill Country Comic Con. They're going to come on and we're going to talk to them about shows. We're going to talk to them about what that means, how to make it, how to present well at a show. So I'm sure they've seen all sorts of good ways to do it, bad ways to do it, all that kind of stuff. Look at you, you cute bastard, you. Good to see you, buddy. All right, yeah, we're filling up quick. That's terrific. Steph Wilson, what's going on? So, speaking of Steph Wilson being here, the show that we're doing, actually, it's in less than 2 weeks, 14th and 15th over the weekend that is Free Comic Book Day. It's a family show. So the creators here, I don't have to keep everything, super childish and whatnot, but I am going to tone it down a little bit because what did I do? You didn't do anything, but we all know who you are and what you bring out in me, and so I'm just saying I'm gonna calm today's show down a little bit for our guests. Um, I don't think they're ready for the Maury Povich show as it normally says the dude with a delightful kid. Oh, you're terrible. Oh, Michaela Jade, I love you, Muffin. How's it going? You know what, guys? Why don't we bring them in? I'm not even gonna do the opener today. I'm just gonna bring them in, and we're gonna have a good old show, and we're gonna see where this goes. So, all of your con questions, all that kind of stuff. Be ready because these guys are going to be amazing and they're going to be so helpful. So, first off, I want to bring out Mr. Vo Win.
Hey, how's it
Vo,
going?
it's going great, man. I'm lame. It's true. I am. That's fine. So glad to have you on the show. I really appreciate you coming out. Of course, you're a local guy from Texas, correct?
hmm
Now,
Correct.
can you tell us? I'm going to do this for you and for Brian as he comes out. Can you tell us? You told me beforehand, but can you tell us all what got you into comics? Your origin story in comics.
Sure, and thanks again for having me on. When
Oh,
I first came to the States back way back then, we moved to actually California and then Kansas, Missouri. So we traveled a whole lot and not knowing English and, not having a lot of friends. We settled in Austin and we lived right next to a comic shop, Austin Books. So my parents was always working. I came over there and looked at the quarter bin, and that was my escape. My mind was blown, and I kept on drawing, watched E-Man, and learn anatomy. The typical artist kind of learning the little rope, the swing of things, and then later on I did a whole lot. My parents was really against it. They wanted me to get into the more lucrative side, like medical and stuff. Typical Asian parents, I guess. And then never did any of the art stuff later on. So once I got to college, I did some indie stuff. Worked at J.C. Penney's. Got pulled into some of the indie stuff by another fellow coworker, and they basically produced an indie book called The Hood from Budget Comics, and that's how I got into my first step. And then along the way, I've done stuff for variant covers for like Vampirella, Turtles, GI Joe, and many other indie covers, and some interiors. And after about many years, I kind of started learning a lot in you know meeting a lot of the fellow artists and the vendors, and I saw how hard it was to kind of pursue that passion, that love, make that make it your livelihood by living off what you want to do. And then that's when I got my foot into the promoting side of it and wanted to kind of create a show that wasn't based around money, basing kind of it around the community, not just the local, the nerd community, just the local people that I met through Nerdum and all the cons that I went to. So the show is based on supporting a lot of the local artists, the vendors that are struggling to pay that bill, um, and now just throwing shows and kind of doing it my way. That now I have a couple of business partners that were able to kind of see my vision around it, not just making the money, doing it what we love to do. You won't see other promoters that will get into costumes and get into like Paw Patrols, Turtles, and then draw hundreds of sketches over the weekend at movie theaters. We're just doing it in a way where, through the years, we struggled to pay that bill. I'm trying to do it in the promoter side where we're working our butts off, not just getting the dollar from the corporate, we're making it and building that relationship and that long-term relationship, not just with the artists, the vendors, the local community, but something that we can all be proud of.
Yeah. No, and that's amazing. I see all your work. I see you out in the community, so I think that's pretty awesome. Uh, Steph Wilson says, "I've seen Chuck's writing. J.C. Penney might be a good backup for him." Dude, you've also seen my wardrobe. I am not a fashionable guy, and I know that I'm saying fashionable in J.C. Penney, but still, I'm not sure I'm made for that world either. Maybe one day when I grow up, we'll find out where I'm supposed to be. But
Right.
Vo's not my only guest tonight. I also have his partner and a very good dude, Brian Fletcher, who's going to come out right now. Brian, how you doing, man?
How's it going, everybody?
Good to see you.
Thank you for inviting me to
Oh,
do the show.
honestly, so glad to do it. Let's see, relationship building is my jam. If you like sarcasm, yeah, yeah. And if we didn't, then you and I would have a really hard go, bud. Um, so Brian, what about you? What is your origin story into comics?
So my origin story is not as deep as Vo. I always jokingly say he's been in the industry for about 60 years now, but my mine is I grew up the typical boy. I love the He-Man, Transformers, Ninja Turtles. Grew up with all the toys. I also love drawing as well. I where Vo kept persevering through and drawing and kept his craft. I gave up my creative side to go into like architecture and more adult drawing, just being real life drawings and a career from it. And honestly, I miss it. And I was working with Vo. We had a day job at Microsoft, and we'd have our job, and then I'd go by and I'd see this guy drawing these really awesome little prints on these trading cards that looks like just the stuff I grew up collecting, And I was like, man, so you do this stuff that I would, open those packs and I would get like those prints of the X-Men trading cards and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And he was doing it. And so, I was always just like I was a little envious. I was just like, man, he kept, going. He's a grown man with a professional career and he's still having fun doing what he loves. And so I always like enjoyed that part of it. And then he started asking me if I wanted to come and start experiencing some of the local shows. And so when there's one within like Dallas or Houston or Austin or something, he'd be like, hey, come out this weekend and check it out with me. And so what I would do is I would see him and how he interacts with the fans and just really how um, the structure of the way he presents as an artist. And then as we started getting to know more of the showrunners, you start understanding more of the breakdown of how to put shows together. And then I had helped him with several shows. And then, he approached me to start this one, Hill Country Comic Con. And so we started brainstorming from there. We came up with business plans, action plans, what kind of like what demographic are we going after? What kind of like experience do we want to deliver? And how do we want to deliver that to the community? And so we've been just busting our tails since then. It's been a long ride, long ride.
It's funny that you guys though talk about demographics, because obviously demographics do go into all these other cons and whatnot, but you guys even tried to parse it down more with the con that we're talking about, Hill Country Comic Con, which is in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. Let's all take a breath. You guys more than me. I'm gonna be there, but
11 days left. It's
right?
Like, man.
Yeah.
But you guys, because when you go to a Comic Con, in a sense, a lot of them are fairly similar. You know what I mean? You understand what you're going to get and all that kind of stuff. But you guys took a spin on that and you went, hey, what if we made one that's a little more family friendly? Which, by the way, I think is a really big deal. Like, first off, we need young blood and in the comic and in geekdom as a whole. So I think that's really excellent of you guys to do that. But what made you kind of go, oh, okay, we really need to focus on this younger demographic? What was it about that that made you go there?
So we run another show that's a little bit more in Austin called Greater Austin Comic Con. That's more wrapped around like the weird and the typical Comic Con that you see at like the bigger shows, with a lot of different things going on. With Brian here being the outcast, he's the only one that out of us three that doesn't have kids. So we wanted to throw an event that we're proud of. Again, going back to it, that we can bring our kids to an event and be proud of it, and they can come, they can enjoy it, they can run around and feel safe. So we started thinking about an event. All the shows that I've been to is catered and has like, you walk in, you might see something that's a little bit more adult centric. This one here, we wanted to send a positive message with our slogan, empowering kids to be super, and also like, bringing some kind of letting the younger kids, if that got bullied or need to improve in certain things, we would actually make messages around it. Like, for instance, we're bringing in a lot of voice actors, and one of the messages is let your voice be heard. So we bring a lot of voice actors that are, if you've been around voice actors, they're very engaging and they're open to saying a lot of things, but they're very, they're not held back. So that's something we wanted to push. And like also, we wanted to encourage literacy. This year, it happened to be like Free Comic Book Day, and the local area doesn't have a comic book shop that really pushes it. So we wanted to encourage literacy by buying thousands of comics, giving it out to families, just to have that ability where they look at it instead of playing games. We have a game section, but we wanted to, when they leave the show, they want to look at it, books, and maybe they pick up something, they read it, and they get caught into it and open up a whole different set of imagination for them. So a lot of those things was something that we really wanted to push. And now, we have our kids, we push Ryan over there. I have a 10, 8, and a 3-year-old. So he's starting to be really aware of what kids want and stuff. So that's the most, that's the driving force behind the show.
Good. And I really appreciate that, because I have to say, like, I just came back from Comic Palooza a couple weeks ago, and almost every show I go to that isn't Hill Country, because I did not have that issue at Hill Country, but almost every show I go to, I have some moment where I hate a parent. There's a parent that I'm just so unhappy with, because I have kids books. I've worked on kids books, edited kids books and whatnot, so I have them to show off and whatnot. And I have to tell you, it's so frustrating seeing these parents, like, oh well, it's a lot of money. It's $4, like, and I'm not even asking for money. I'm just trying to show it to your kid and let them check it out. And I had one parent just at the last show where kiddo comes up, and of course, as soon as I see a kid, I've got the one kid's book, so do you want to check this out? Here's Cat Dad and Supermom. And he's like, yeah, I'd love to check it out. And so he's reading it again, not talking about prices, not trying to push the book. And his dad keeps going like, hey kiddo, look at this print, look at that print. And I'm like, this kid is trying to read and kind of better himself and whatnot. And you keep saying, look at the pretty pictures, look at the pretty pictures. And I'm like, who cares more about this kid than his parent right now? Because I'm telling you. And so I did not have that at all though at Hill Country. It really was a family affair. And I loved that you guys had this idea and you brought that out, and it continued, like even the fans continue that on. And I think that's a really huge deal. So I want to congratulate you guys on that one, because you didn't just say, oh yeah, it's for family, and then just throw a bunch of stuff together. You guys really took your time and really pushed and made sure that people were aware. No, like let's be perfectly honest. I'm going to throw myself under the bus. You guys asked for images for my banner, and I sent some, and there was one where you were like, yeah, and it was from Belial, and you're correct. It's not good for the family show. I get that. And so you guys were like, could we try something else? Yeah, absolutely. And so I threw you guys some more pictures, and I get it. Like I'm not necessarily used to the censoring, but I completely understand why. We're doing this for the kids. You can't say that you want more people reading comics and then not give a crap about the kids. So I think you guys are really doing an excellent job there. My next question is, of all places, I mean, Austin for Greater Austin Comic Con was obvious. It's an obvious place. Why New Braunfels?
And we actually started another show. We wanted to. It was Classic Garage Comic Con at Dick's Classic Garage. The gentleman that ran, the GM or the facilitator there, we wanted to kind of create an event that can save the museum. So we ended up throwing an event there, and the event, or actually the Dick's Classic Garage, ended up closing down. But however, he came from New Braunfels, and he mentioned how supportive and how such a family atmosphere New Braunfels was, and the local community. There's a lot of support. So we wanted to. The first place we looked was New Braunfels, and we saw the facility. And I've been here for other events a while back, like Dale Ekman's toy show and stuff. And I saw the venue, and I started looking around, and we all went here for Schlitterbahn and different outdoor activities. But this was a perfect community. It wasn't too big. They kept it very historic, and we wanted and it had like that family feel, which we were driving for. And it was a fit when we came in. And like Tim Marcus, it had a lot of things going on, but it didn't have that right culture, right feel that a smaller show or a family event would fit into. So that was my take. And Brian and Momo, after looking at the community, we just thought it would be a good fit.
Yeah, it's
No, I think
it's
oh,
the second.
go ahead.
I think it was at the time it was the second or third fastest growing county in the U.S. And the people that were coming there were young families, and the young families, they want things to do around where they live. And instead of driving 30 minutes to Austin, 30 minutes to San Antonio, or trying to, they want to have something that they can call their own. And that's what they've really taken to, is this is their own. And so many times we come across families and they're just like, finally, we have something of our own here, and that's not floating the river or, nightlife, kind of downtown nightlife. It's something that the family can enjoy. They can, and I have to say, I'd say our first year, I mean, we probably had about 75% of our attendees the first year were probably had never been to a show before. I mean, I don't think that's an exaggeration, and it's just like most of the Comic Cons, even back before, COVID, with, people just did the rounds. They went to every single show every weekend. It's like another show, another show. But I'd say well over half of them had never been to a show. And whenever we were out there promoting and talking to people about it. I would say we'd be like, one of our first questions is like, have you ever been to are you familiar with a Comic-Con? They're like, yeah, I've heard of it. Have you been to one? They're like, no, I haven't, but I want to. Well, this is the perfect time and opportunity to try it out. This is New Braunfels' first and only Comic-Con. And so we were able to capture a lot of new energy. And that's one thing that the vendors did say is it was a different energy and vibe because the beautiful part about new families that are coming into an experience at Comic-Con that have never been on one, everything's new to them. It's just like, whereas if you do a show every weekend, you're like, okay, I've seen this guy's art 20 times already this year. It's really beautiful, but okay, I've seen that. Whereas every single artist is new art to this family. And every vendor is new toys, new things that they didn't know they needed until now. And so that was one of the most proud things that I felt, hearing was it was just a new energy, and that's what we hope to continue in year 2.
You're very right there because I noticed that too when I was there. A lot of times, when you're at a show, and Brian, I don't know if you've had to deal with this so much. I don't know if you've been on the other side of the table, but when you're at these shows, there you can tell like there's this kind of glazed eye thing where they're like, it's an indie guy, it's not Marvel or DC, so I don't care because I don't, they don't know what it is. We have to give them that hard sell, and we have to educate them on what we're doing. And a lot of people don't want to be, which I get, I respect it. And so, you kind of get that glazed look, but I didn't get that at Hill Country. For a lot of people, it was very excitable. They were, super, wondering what it was about, and it meant a lot more people at the table, even if it didn't necessarily like always translate into sales. It was always people being interested, and that's huge. So I did love that, and I noticed that myself. Jeff Weber's in the house. What's going on, buddy? We're talking with Vo and Brian today about Comic Cons. They run a couple in my area and here in Central Texas. And so if you guys have any questions whatsoever, Sam did come in. He says he wants in on the show. You guys have sold out though, right? All your tables?
Yeah. We've been sold out. We've been sold out for, obviously we were 3 weeks away from our second year last year when we had to make the tough decision. It was going to be the first weekend of April. So yeah, that was a scary moment where people didn't know what this was, how serious it was going to be. And so we were all set to have a show, and we had to postpone it. And so a lot of the vendors that had lined up slots with us for the April show, they're like, we're not taking our money back. We want, whenever you open up, we want in. And so we've been sold out for quite a while now. But year 3, we'll start opening that up, and we'll start looking for vendors to come in again soon.
Yeah. Well, so sorry, there was a bunch of things happening over here too. Something I would tell Sam is I would say, hey man, come out to the show. And check it out at the very least. That way you can network with all the other creators. Of course, pop by the Bonfire Press booth and say hi to me. But it's really important, I think, to and let me know, guys, how you feel about this. But I think it's important to get out to your local cons, even if you can't present. Pop into the panels and stuff, all that kind of stuff, just to kind of feel it out. Feel out what the convention's like. Feel out, how would I sell at this show? What kind of stuff would I do? Does this work for me? All that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would come and check it out at the very least. What else? Okay, Brian Manel says work's making things difficult for him. Hey man, you can always keep popping in and out. It's fine. The show's definitely not over. Jeff Weber asks, are shows getting back to where they were before?
They are. And now with the recent, variant, the Delta, I think people are starting to be a little hesitant, but we're taking the highest precautions. I know a lot of artists that recently been doing a lot of shows over the last couple of months, and numbers have just been through the roof. Like, you mentioned that you went to Comic Palooza a couple weeks ago, and they didn't know what to expect, and they pulled in everybody there vendor wise, and the show did amazing, and people were out to spend money, and they were trying to find a way to uh, I guess support the local artists and support the artists and support the vendors, and they were spending money from what I heard, and that's been across the board at every single con, and number has been through the roof, and actually even more than pre-COVID. Now with everything going on again, the increased numbers, I think people are a little hesitant, but they're so caught up within the or so tied and been locked in for the last year and a half or so that they want to go out and they want to be able to go to a con and see their friends their con family that they haven't seen for a year and a half. Been locked up and draw and all this other stuff, but they haven't seen their con family, so they're trying to go out and engage, I guess.
No, absolutely. I totally. It was. I was telling everybody it felt like going back to summer camp because it was just like, oh, dude, it was so good to see everybody again, and it felt very much like summer camp. Whereas when you're on the road, you're on the road, pretty much off and on year round, so you're seeing these people multiple times. But
Yeah.
for a lot of these people, I hadn't seen them in 2 years, so it was huge. Is there any specific precautions that you guys are taking in this post-COVID era, as far as at the show?
Brian, you want to take this one? I know you've been working.
I mean, yeah. So what we're doing is we're working closely with like local medical centers to really kind of showcase information and being able to answer any kind of questions for that people might have. Also to kind of help with sharing like the correct protocols just to keep safe. We bringing in like a local, like I said, a local medical center to set up at our table, like right up front. We're gonna have them out there as kind of like an information booth right at the beginning. If and with like miniature hand sanitizers, so everybody can have hand sanitizers, disposable masks if they want to wear masks. Um, you know, brochures and information if they and just things to kind of help alleviate any concerns, or at least maybe share some best practices that they might not be aware of. Of course, we're going to have hand sanitizers everywhere. If and we're going to have when it comes to celebrities, one thing we decided to do differently this year than other ones is we decided to not have a professional photo ops. That's something that we wanted to let it be between the celebrity talent if they feel comfortable taking photos with attendees, and how they want to approach it, because we want them, the celebs, they're the ones that are going to interact with the most people, in a weekend, and they need to feel their comfort level. So if there's a celebrity that says, hey, I'm sorry guys, I'm not doing photos, then that's what's going to happen. They can sign something, talk to them for a little bit, but unfortunately, no photos. If there's someone that's willing to take a photo, they'll offer up selfie photos. Kind of like, hey, I was here with so and so. So we wanted to at least offer that, but also make it flexible for the celebrities to politely decline if they didn't want to experience that. And just a few other things. Obviously, working with the city, working with the convention center, working with the local medical authorities to make sure that every step is properly taken to ensure safety. And so I mean, it's just things like that.
So the community has probably is tired of us asking questions. We're up at the venue every single weekend and just talking to the Mandy, who's actually the person in charge of the venue. She sees us way too much, and the staff there, Dave and Michael, and probably going, "Why are you guys here again?"
Oh,
So
I
we're looking.
remember. I remember one time. Was it? I think it was Dave.
Uh-huh.
No, well, I think it was Dave. He saw me again, and he was just like, "Venue hasn't changed." I was just like, we gotta come in here, and we gotta. This is what we're envisioning. Everything. Every time we come in there, we make a change. Because we're just like, okay, I think it'll be better if we, move it here. The flow will work better, and it's just things. A lot of things we learned. Like our first year, we thought out every step. We're like, okay, we want the flow to go this way. We want everything to flow this way. If we put this here, it'll all the right pieces. Well, Sunday morning comes around, we're like, okay, audible. All right, okay, so this didn't work out quite as well as we wanted, so let's make sure and this and that. And so it's always a constant learning process. And even Sunday morning, we're making audibles. And so, we're going to experience the same thing this weekend, 2 weekends from now. And it's just really adapting and you know, adapting and playing to what's given to you. And so
Yeah.
this has been a huge curveball thrown at us, and I think we've had a long time to think about it and prepare for it, and I feel good about it, and we got a show in 10 days, 11 days. So that's crazy.
We want to throw an amazing event and we want to have fun, but the safety of all our guests and our attendees are vital and it's utmost important to us. Where we want to make sure whoever walks in is comfortable, especially as a parent myself. Am I going to be able to bring a child in and feel safe? And with everything going on, we have to ask that question over and over again and make sure that by the time we throw the show, we put on a great event, but also make sure that it's a safe environment for everyone.
Yeah. It's funny. So I'm going to give a little bit of a shout out to your volunteers because I actually find that at most shows I go to, you you see the volunteers, but you see them real quick and you don't really deal with them much. But they were amazing. They were coming up to us all the time. Is everything okay? Do we need to get you anything? Blah blah blah. And so obviously you guys need to understand the story that I'm about to tell you is from 2 years ago. It's pre-COVID, of course. But I was at the First Hill Country. I was sick, but it's one of those things where you bought the table. You gotta be there. I always have my thing of sanitizer, so I was being safe anyways, and I was taking prescription drugs and whatnot. I was taking like the Benadryl and all that kind of stuff just to make me feel better and whatnot. Was not feeling better, and I didn't have to flag down a volunteer. They walked up and they said, "Hey, is there anything we can do for you?" And I was like, "Actually, yeah, I need to leave my table for a little bit. I was all by myself. Do you mind watching?" "Yeah, not a problem." And so I was able to go take care of myself, feel better, come back, and they were very cool. They let people know, "Oh, he's going to be back soon. Don't worry about it." And they were just amazing. And I haven't gotten that at another show. Now, I've only done about a dozen or so shows. But even in that, yours is the only one where repeatedly I had volunteers coming up and is everything okay? So I wanted to give a shout out to your volunteers. How do you get people like that? Like
Thank
how
you
the
for
heck does that happen?
thank you for that. That's so important to us because one of our key ingredients was getting the right volunteers and be able to have that sun hospitality. Have that anyone who comes to the show feels welcome. And going back to the volunteers and our staff is our backbone to the show. They make us look good. If it
Hmm.
wasn't for the volunteers have, I don't think the show would have been successful at all. We call ourselves the Three Stooges, to be honest. I'm gonna put that out there. We have fun, we work hard, but they're the ones that the volunteers are the face of the show. They go in, like you said, they came in, they sat down, and they be able to help you regarding to anything. If you need to take sometimes when you probably know when you're doing a show that's not local or something. If you need to use a restroom break and you don't have anyone there, we want someone there to provide that assistance. Be able to get up and walk for a moment just to unwind because it's painful over a whole weekend. You might want to just walk up, or if you wanted to get like an autograph or meet like a fellow artist and take a few-minute break, we want to have those people to provide that assistance for you. That's that's what we want. You know, when you come to our show, you want to be treated like family.
Yeah.
And one thing that, I mean, after interacting with them the first year, they were really just happy. Every one of them was smiling,
Yeah.
laughing, and I remember one of them asked, well, one of them made a statement. They're like, "You guys fed us. You guys fed us. We're so thankful. We'll do any show that you want. You fed us and you're treating us nice." And I'll for me, I just thought that was like that's what
That's
you do
what I
for
would think too.
you do for the to help the people that are helping you out. Giving up their time to help your show, and it's just like, yeah. I mean, that's like my registration team. I was in registration. My registration team. They have this local. What is it? Local cold treats dessert place called Rockadilly's, which is amazing, by the way. If you guys go to the show, Rockadilly's is amazing. But what I did is I got a long list of orders, and I went over there and I gave it to Rockadilly. So at the end of the day, I was just like, look, you guys did an awesome job. I was just like, please, whatever you guys want, thank you. And so it's just a simple actions like that make a difference between someone that wants to be there or someone's just trying to get their hours in so they can go wander around and look at vendors, kind of thing. So I mean, that's it seems to make a difference, and we, it doesn't make it for a cheap show when you want to do those things, but we want to put the best show possible.
Yeah. So Kurt Zauer just joined in. Right now, we're talking about Hill Country Comic Con, but of course, we're talking about any convention. You guys also have Greater Austin Comic Con. So yeah, there's always lots of stuff going on. So of course, you can ask any question about being a good con guest or any of that kind of stuff. And actually, that is a question I have. Somebody who wants to become a guest, what are the things that they need to consider? Because I've had a lot of people, say, "Well, I should be a guest here because I've been in comics for 20 years," and I'm like, "Yeah, but," and all I can do is kind of see it from my point of view and go, "But who the hell are you? Like, do you have people who are going to be excited and who are going to show up to this show? Because you guys are businessmen. That's something you have to consider. Is I'm not just going to give free room and board and table to this random person if I need them to bring something else to the show. So, what are the considerations that you guys have when, especially, comic guests? Because a lot of my viewers are comic creators. What kind of things do they have to do and bring to the table in order to be considered as a guest for a show?
Sure, and that goes back to like you mentioned, as this throwing an event costs quite a bit of money. There's
Yeah.
so many different things that you have to pay for pipe and drapes, the venue, and staff, and food, and there's a whole list of laundry that you have to pay for. So getting guests in and paying for hotels and stuff like that to bring a guest in, is it gonna make draw? Are people gonna buy tickets? Second, do you have a fan base that you can share the information and people are gonna come to see you? Like if you produce a book that you have a huge following, or if you're a cosplayer that has a huge following that follows you around, then we can actually bring you in. If say you just started out and you wanted a room, there's no return for us. If we're gonna bring you in, there's gotta be some draw. Are you gonna sell any tickets? Like the way I look at it is, if you're able to sell 50 to 100 tickets, just by having people in to see you, then I can see we can sit down and talk about it if we have the space, certain things like that. But it has to go back to, are you going to bring people through the door? Is there going to be some excitement that you're going to create, or there's something, a new book that comes out that you can promote and that has a huge following. Those are important aspects that we consider when we bring in a guest.
And also, what I kind of look for when I'm considering, like, saying, hey Bo, hey Momo, I think these would be pretty good people to bring to the show, is engagement with the fans. That's huge, because there's some talented people that don't engage with fans, don't have interactions with people. They might post once every 2 or 3 weeks and stuff like that. And that, so 1 month in July they might have 2 posts, and it's just like, your art might be amazing, you might have a fan base there, but you're not engaging your fan base. So here's an example. Like, I deal with a lot of the cosplay, the street team, and when we do cosplay interactions, I would rather have somebody who has a following of a local person that has a following of like 5,000 people, but she's there every day, they're engaged, they're creating content, they're trying to improve their craft, they're hungry for it. I'd rather have them than someone who has 25,000 followers and just posts a selfie every once in a while, gets 1,000 likes, and they're happy with that.
Yeah.
That I'd much rather have that 5,000 viewer fan. Like, of course, if they're really engaged and awesome and all that stuff, and they have the 25 to 45,000 followers, that's perfect. That's what we'd love to see. But
that's called the sweet spot.
Yeah. But we also understand that person with the 5,000 followers that's hungry will eventually get to that 25,000, and hopefully they keep that hunger. And if they're growing with our shows, hopefully they can continue coming to our shows and being a part of it, and we could both grow together. So I mean, that's something that we look forward to, and with some of the people, and I mean, that's just not cosplayers, that is content creators, and just talent.
Yeah. So Brian Manel asked about new people getting into cons and whatnot, and really that's just about looking up local shows or shows that you're interested in, asking other creators which shows are working, and which shows would work for you, because of course like I can do well at, say, something like a Hill Country or a Greater Austin, but I'm not going to be as good at, say, San Japan. I don't have any anime stuff, and I can't access that crowd as well. So I'm probably not going to sell well. So that's not my show. So really, it's about kind of defining the shows that are going to work for you, and then just simply when they start showing off that they want tables, putting your name in there and showing off your work and what you do, and that's how you get in, or share a table with someone else.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of options to get in there. Now, where was this? There was another great question down here. What are some of the more difficult aspects of managing a con?
Managing a con or starting a con is not easy. As an artist, you're drawing for somebody else and you're creating certain art and providing. But when you're a con promoter, you're basically everyone's servant. That's the way I see it. You're serving somebody, trying to make somebody happy. And if you don't do everything and make everybody happy by throwing a show, if you miss any details and not being nice to somebody, if you had a bad day, just saying something incorrectly, or going out there doing something that is not genuine, I think people see it, because there's so many visibility behind it, because people are paying to come to your show, from the attendees, the vendors, the celebrities, the agents, and the venue, the community. So everybody's seeing it. So on top of it, for example, if you don't bring people in, vendors are going to be mad, the artists is going to be mad, and the celebrities, they don't make their money, because that's the opportunity cost. They could be at home and making content, as opposed to sitting out at a show where no one's there. Or when this basically you got to be out there promoting and pushing the show and doing a lot of work. Is I pull Brian in, and I feel sorry for him, but
I do too.
when it's a lot of work. It's anything that you're putting your life and soul into doing something that you love, kind of like producing a indie book. You're doing it for a lot of the love behind it and supporting or sending a message that you want to create. But it's not easy. It's not something where you just create something, throw something up, and rent a venue, and then have people come in. It's not that easy. You got to go out and do a lot of on the ground. We do a lot of guerrilla marketing. We do a lot of work that
Yeah.
behind the scene that people don't see, and it's it's a lot of work. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, it's what a lot of people see is they see the promoter on the weekend of the show, and they see everybody wanting to come talk to them, usually with a question about something, but coming to talk to them, and they're they're the center of attention that weekend, right? Besides the celebrities, and people were like, "Man, I want that job. Man, I want to do what you do." Oh man, if you knew all that it took to put a show together, I mean, it is so many things. There's so many details, so many things you have to deal with. I mean, it's like you could go. I don't know how one person can do it. Like I mean, obviously you have a team of people that help you in certain aspects, but those people that are like the one man army kind of person, I don't know how they would even do that. But then again, we do something different than a lot of other shows because we try to incorporate a lot more into it because we know we're not bringing in the Avengers into our shows that will sell tickets right away. We
Yeah.
we want to deliver an experience. We said, okay, instead of sitting there trying to sit there and go, okay, what's the biggest name we can bring in here and get people in here? Instead of doing that, we said, okay, what's the best experience we can deliver, for the families, for the community that wants them. That's the thing is like if we're not top heavy with we got the biggest name celebs we could possibly find, they're not we're not all our eggs are not in that basket. It's because if something were to happen and say a celebrity were to not be able to make the show, it's not going to crash the show because everyone's there for the experience.
Yeah.
Those are all that's really cool. I'd like to go see him too. But they weren't, they want the experience that hopefully we can deliver them. All the activities we plan in there, the communities involved. Like we have kids activity area, and we incorporate the New Braunfels Library and the Seguin Library. They each have their own day where they have creative activities throughout the whole weekend. So we have the little kids that are able to craft and create and think instead of just watching something. They can actually, create and use their imagination. So we wanted things like that aspect of it. We did want to add. We this year we did add a gaming tournament. So we partnered with a great local, San Antonio-based company, and they're coming in to do gaming tournaments. So there's 6 different gaming tournaments throughout the whole weekend. So there's going to be a lot of activity up there. The kids are going to be excited about that, of course. And so you've seen the venue. The venue is not big. It's not a huge venue. When I go to Henry B. Gonzalez, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I wish I had this venue. I wish I had all this room to plan out stuff. It's like, but we maximize every inch of that venue, and we want to make sure that it's a comfortable environment for people, but also entertaining. And so we try to find something and utilize all the space that we have because there's not much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, Henry B. Gonzalez, you mentioned that center. It's a beautiful center, but buddy, more money, more problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, trying to fill that place, and being able to get the sheer number of volunteers that it would take to be able to handle that convention as well as they handle your other shows, that would be a level of headache I wouldn't wish on anybody. So I think it's one of those things where work your way up there, but for now,
I
like,
mean,
you're doing
there's
great with
steps
what
in
you
between.
got.
There's steps in between of that one. Yeah, like we have a great venue. It's an awesome venue. It's just not a large one, and it's but there would I don't know. It's just like I just look at all the space. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. You could have this over. You could have this, all this in this area right here, and it's just dedicated to that. And it's just every time I go into a facility now, I scope out what things could actually happen in here. I'm like, okay, that one would be perfect for X. This one would be perfect for this. And it's just like that's the way my mind goes when I drive through a new city. I look at like what kind of people are, what's the community, and all that stuff. So I'm always thinking about like trying to put pieces into place and saying, okay, what would make a good show? And that's just everywhere I go now. That's my way my brain thinks.
Yeah,
We have these large dreams and goals and aspirations, but when it comes back to it, we are in our second year and we want to grow it organically and do it right
Yeah.
and make the proper mistakes and grow and learn with the show. Again, there's not, if you look around, there's not another show that's similar to ours because we cater to a different demographic regarding to children and family. And then um, we want to make sure we incorporate the community and the families and stuff. So as we grow, we might make it, expand out to the community, hit downtown, block off streets. So there's many different things that we're looking at doing, but right now we're taking the proper steps, and we don't want to grow too big, too fast. Again, this show is always catered around family. What if we grow too quick? It might make the community and the people attending our show might make them feel uncomfortable and might not have that same small town feel. That's the reason why we chose New Braunfels in the first place. So there's many different things. Maybe once it gets a little bit larger, and then we're looking at how we work with the community, how can we grow it to make it still have that small feel, that personal, and bring in the right guests, have that, you know, uh, have that moment where the guest that we bring in inspires the generations of kids that are growing up and to be the next generation of nerds and geeks.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like we brought in Cal Dodd, right? So the voice of Wolverine, our first show, right? We had the reunion of the animated X-Men series. Almost 30 years the show, and they had never done a full, like, a lot of them came together at a certain show. So we brought that. So we brought a lot of X-Men fanatics to the show. And we had during the panel of for Cal and the X-Men, one of our cosplayers, and he's one of our friends, and he comes to support us for different shows. He revealed something to Cal during the panel about how he's got autism. He's got Asperger's, and he dressing up as Wolverine is what helped him to interact with other people and helped him to open up and he had started getting emotional. He started getting emotional
yeah.
right then and there talking about it. And I got Cal emotional too, obviously. But I mean, there's just moments like that. Like you can't script something like that.
Yeah.
That's from the heart. Somebody that was his childhood hero that inspired him to become a stronger person. Interacting with other people. It's just like that's the kind of stuff that you are happy to see because that's you can't buy it. You can't buy
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You guys are just a conduit for these moments. You can't create them. You're just like,
Yeah.
we have to we have to create this environment where people feel excited and are open to these experiences of geekdom and all that kind of stuff. And by being able to go out, they're able to express themselves in that way, which is, yeah, pretty amazing.
And
And we see it
it's
most often
empowering.
in cosplay.
Like this right here. It says right there, let your voice be heard. And it's just like he was able to find his voice. and
Yeah.
be able to be strong. And it's just like that's pretty amazing. So I mean that those are the things. And we put in, was it like July 3rd? That was a day that lives in infamy because it was one of the longest days we've ever put in promoting. We had a parade early in that day. We had I think 2 or 3 other events that one Saturday. We started at 4 o'clock in the morning. We ended at 1 o'clock at night. Those are the days we have to put in.
Yeah.
But the reason why we do that is because during the parade, when we're in costume, I was in Winnie the Pooh. I think he was in a Ninja Turtle. Yeah, he was the unfortunate one to have to get the Ninja Turtle. The Ninja Turtle's the hardest suit to wear.
Oh, I bet.
But anyways, like when you hear all those kids screaming and going, "Hey Chase, hey Winnie, hey SpongeBob," and all that stuff, you see them get excited. You hear their parents, cheering them on. We had Disney princesses there in the parade and stuff like that. And then when we go to the shows like Urban Air and Stars and Stripes to promote, you just see all those families so excited. They'll sit there and stand there talking to us for 30 plus minutes
Yeah.
just because they're so excited. They're watching like Vo drawing for their little ones or for them, and we're engaging and just having a conversation about the stuff that we grew up with, what we love to do. And they'll stand there 30, 40 minutes and not even worry about it. It's nothing to them because they're so engaged with it and so excited about it. And it's just like seeing the young families. And what's funny is when you see the kids are super excited and the dad or the mom is just as excited as the little kid.
Yeah.
And that's when it's really fun because that whole family, that's what they love to do. Like we get some parents that's like, oh yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. Now I got my kids hooked on that, and so they're just as excited about it. And so the whole family comes together and they have a great time. And that's why we can put in the 20-hour work days. Doesn't make it any easier, but it makes it worth it. And
Good.
that's really why. And it's because we're the 3 owners. It's just what we do. We don't sit there and think about it. We just do it. We can't ask this of anybody else. We can't say, hey, go spend 20 hours today, go doing 4 different things. We can't ask that of anybody. That's on us. We got to do that. We got to put in the work if we want the outcome that we need. So
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you there, man. So we are starting to wind down, people. So if you do have any other questions, hit us while you can. Here was one from Brian Manel. He said, "What are aspects of poorly managed cons? So what are the common mistakes that you've seen at other conventions that you've worked hard to counteract so they don't appear at your own?"
I'll start with the first thing that comes to mind is not really understanding and knowing your demographic of the people that are in the community, the people that you are going to be trying to get out to the show. We knew that with Hill Country, it's a lot of young families that want something to do, and instead of just sitting there buying billboards and putting social media and doing all that stuff, we're at every event every weekend in front of those families that are trying to find something to do. So that's what we try to combat with, really understanding the people that in our community. Like some shows that I've seen where they put a show together, they get all the LLC, the name, the logo, everything, the website looks good, and then they just do online boosts on social media or something like that. I don't know. It's just like if it's in like a big city like New York or something like that, but I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like you got to know your community, what they're looking for, and you got to tailor your approach to it.
So when you don't have a good team and you're trying to do everything yourself and you're not passionate about it, it shows. For instance, if you have a team that knows what they're doing, there's like for our team, we have people that's been working in the industry for since the 90s that knows what they're doing regarding to. We have a good logistics person that basically makes sure that these things, kind of like going to McDonald's, working at McDonald's, you have certain, there's 15, 3 minutes, you got to flip the fry and do certain, assembly line. That's basically, we have Donna, who's our logistics person. She makes sure we have certain things in place. We have a person that handles travel. If these little things are not taken into account, you're gonna mess up there. Agents are gonna get mad. Talents are gonna get mad prior to the show. It's like there's certain things that we do at other shows that don't. Like, we try to announce and make sure that every single artist, for example, cosplayers, they get their own recognition announcement. We want to do these little things. If you're not doing those little things that go behind throwing a show, it shows. And by the time the show comes, the little things, like even if you try to skip a table or drapes, is the presentation. There's these little things that you're coming in. I'm trying to think about, like, if you don't reach out to certain people when they send you a message, if you don't do it right away,
Yeah.
that might show that you don't care or something like that. It's going back to kind of throwing a wedding. It's basically planning a wedding. If you miss those little things and you don't fulfill them, it's going to show up during that day.
Yeah.
And no matter how much we plan, things are going to change. And we try to incorporate all okay, is the banners done, the signage, is there enough signage that's going to be presented? Do we have a person in the front for registration? Is the ticketing system working, and is it efficient and properly checked out? The dry run being done before the show, line control, is it going to be hot outside, especially in Texas weather? These little things that
Yeah.
you're trying to incorporate. And then the flow of traffic, if you open up 5 different rooms and there's not the flow is not going into a certain room, people in that room is going to complain about it. So we try to incorporate one big venue that has one large location. Like, for instance, our venue, we have the exhibitor hall and the ballroom just right next to each other. And people, the flow still didn't go through. So we had to find a way to, like the following day from our first year, we had to flip it around to make sure that the visibility is there and the flow is right. So after, it's like all these little things that you got to keep in mind and focus, and that like for instance, we had cosplayers outside and for the first year, and it was cold, so we had to move them inside. So little things that, if there's any type of comments or feedback, we listen to it. We try to make sure that it's taken care of. But again, so it shows that you can tell when they overlook the little stuff and they didn't have a team to work it. If you see like a show that's efficient and well oiled, they probably have a team that of like 10 people that know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a long tedious. We can go through that all night long, but there's
So
like
much
all
stuff.
the little stuff.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
Right.
it's when you sit there and like if we actually like wrote down everything we had to think about and concern, like figure out and plan and go execute, I think there would be no con promoters. You
No,
know?
but the
Yeah.
thing is, we enjoy it. We're passionate about it. We kind of
Yeah.
going back to what we mentioned earlier. This is something that we like to serve. We like to be out there promoting. We like to see our friends, our fellow nerds, in the confield, our family be successful. If we're able to bring people in, that shows that we did our job promoting. And now, how can we make it a weekend? Not just you're making money, but you're also enjoying your time there. You're also connecting, you're networking, and all these things. If it all falls into place, it's magical. And you really remember, and you go, that's a wonderful experience. Like our first year, we brought in the X-Men. There was a lot of hardcore collectors that came in for the X-Men animated series, and a lot of those collectors go, this was my favorite show because that brought back memories. And I was like, wow, you know, it's because they were able to tap into something that they love, and they were also able to meet some of these characters that they grew up with, like Cal Dodd and the cosplayer that was touched. There's things like that. We want to bring that special moment. 10 years, 5 years from now, you look back and go, "Hey, that was a magical moment that I was able to share with my family, my daughter, my son."
That's beautiful, man. So guys, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate you guys showing up. Can you give us that one final pitch for your shows and tell us where we can track you guys down, and obviously your amazing shows.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, you're the pretty face. You're the pretty face.
No, he's actually the Asian Jason Momoa. He tries to pitch that every single time that he
I
talks to
mean,
somebody. So
I, I,
I'm gonna leave it to you.
I tell people that there are people that say I look like Jason Momoa, and by people I mean me, and just me. But I mean, there's people that have said that I look. And so what happens in those long delirious days where we're just like kind of like, we're just trying to get that last bits of energy. What Vo will do is generally, especially if I've made fun of him most of that day, or like been like yelling at him, he'll draw me on like the tables that we promote on. He'll get Sharpies and he'll draw me in not very flattering situations. Like he drew me as a merman, with like seashells, what is it, the coconut shells there look like an Ariel, that had really let themselves go. So I mean, and then he drew me as a Totoro, so like a Totoro, Studio Ghibli Totoro with like a really scruffy beard, and so yeah, that's what he does. That's what he
Go
does.
ahead, Brian. We
Whenever
want
he's
the we
feeling,
want the pitch. We want the pitch.
no, no, sorry, I got off on a sidetrack. I got off on a sidetrack. No, it's just a great event that we just try to bring the whole community together. Just deliver a lot of experience on the weekend. Over a weekend, we bring in just thousands of excited people. What we try to do is we try to make it a little different from the other ones by making it more of almost like a festival feel. We got the live music, we got some food trucks, we got the music, we got the art, we got the entertainment, we got everything, and we try to make it where there is no need to leave that weekend. You got your food, you got your entertainment, you are there the whole time. So we're gonna have people just hanging out that whole weekend. We hope that some of you or the people watching right now can come out there. If you want to be an artist for a future show, come on out to this show and just see what we do. Go drop by your table and just see how things are going, see how the flow is. I'm pretty confident in saying that you're going to have a good time. You're going to see a great energy. We try to bring a great vibe to the whole thing. We want an experience. We want everybody's experience to be a good one from this. So come on out.
Well, and so these guys, we've been talking about Hill Country Comic Con, but of course next year you guys also have Greater Austin Comic Con. So if you guys are looking to fill in your spots for next year, track these gentlemen down, see if you can get yourself a table. Do you guys still have spots open for that one?
Yes, we do. That one's actually our bigger show. We have some bigger names there, like Billy D. Williams, Weird Al Yankovic, and Steve Gutenberg. So it's very fun. It tries to tie in with like the keep Austin weird, geeky, and incorporate that really laid back factor that really made Austin cool back in the days. And we do have some tables left, not many.
Not many.
So,
but yes, and that one we'll start planning that one out to fill out and things like that, because I mean we had to postpone that one, so unfortunately, but
yeah.
So we have the layout of a show to run. We just need to start revving up the engines again to make sure that we have all the things in place.
But you know what? Get over this one first.
Yeah.
Maybe take a week off afterwards if you can.
Just one week.
Then go into it. Just one. Yeah. That's all you got time for, man. I would give you more if I could, but you've pretty much laid it out. You have a lot of work ahead of you, so
We do.
take a week,
No.
chill out. Guys,
Oh.
thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate you guys. Those of you out there who are watching, please come out to Hill Country Comic Con. Check these guys out. They've done an amazing show. They run a terrific show. I will be there with Cat Dad and Supermom for the kiddos, and of course some of my other books for the adults. There's something for everyone, and that's really what the show's all about. So please come on out. I think you guys will have a blast. I know I did year one, and I have no doubt that year two is going to be even better. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate everybody showing up.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you
care,
so
Pete.
much.
Y'all take care.
You too, guys. Have a good one, everybody, and we will see you around.